Men, pay close attention. When a woman starts distancing herself from you or begins to ignore your messages, calls, or presence, it's not always what you think. In modern dating, many men panic, overanalyze, or try to chase her attention, often making the situation worse. Female psychology is clear. When a woman pulls away, it usually reflects her feelings, priorities, and perception of your value, not random behavior. How you respond in this moment can either reignite attraction or push her further away. The key is understanding that distance is not always rejection. It can be a response to your behavior, her own emotional state, or even a natural way she tests the connection. Women naturally pull back when they feel uncertainty, need space, or want to assess your interest without pressure. Your job as a high-value man is to observe, stay composed, and act strategically. Panic, over-messaging, jealousy, or emotional pleading signals low value and makes her doubt your independence and stability. In this video, we'll break down 7 practical ways to respond when a woman distances herself or ignores you. Each section focuses on actionable strategies grounded in female psychology and modern dating dynamics. From recognizing the reason behind her distance to leveraging your own independence, we'll cover how to navigate this delicate situation without losing attraction or respect. By understanding these principles, you'll maintain your confidence, protect your energy, and naturally position yourself as someone she can't take for granted. Pay close attention. How you handle her absence says more about your value than anything you say when she's present. Men who react correctly increase attraction, create emotional pull, and can restore connection without desperation or drama. Those who overreact or chase tend to push her further away. This is a test of composure, strategy, and self-respect, and mastering it sets you apart from the majority of men. 1. Understand why she's pulling away. The first step when a woman distances herself or begins ignoring you is to understand why it's happening. This is crucial because reacting blindly or emotionally will almost always backfire. In modern dating, women pull away for a variety of reasons, some related to her feelings for you, others to her own emotional state or life circumstances. Recognizing the reason behind her distance allows you to respond strategically instead of instinctively, maintaining your value and composure. Psychologically, pulling away is often a natural response to perceived imbalance, uncertainty, or emotional overwhelm. Women may distance themselves if they feel too much pressure, sense neediness, or question the level of your interest. Conversely, it could simply reflect a need for personal space or emotional processing. She may not be ready to communicate as frequently, but this does not necessarily mean she is losing interest. Men who misinterpret this as rejection often overcompensate, texting excessively, demanding attention, or trying to prove their value, which ironically reduces attraction. Behavioral patterns can give insight. Has she stopped initiating contact or seems less responsive? Is she avoiding plans, becoming vague, or taking longer to reply? These are signals, not the final verdict. Context matters. If she was highly engaged before and suddenly pulls back, it may indicate emotional testing, evaluation of your value, or temporary stress. If she was inconsistent from the start, it may signal deeper disinterest. Observing these patterns objectively allows you to act thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. Men often make the mistake of interpreting her distance as personal rejection. Stoicism and modern female psychology teach the opposite. Her behavior is more about her perception and state of mind than about your worth. Understanding the cause of her withdrawal, whether it's a need for space, testing your independence, or evaluating your confidence, gives you clarity on how to respond effectively. You maintain composure, protect your energy, and ensure that your actions align with your value rather than her whims. By understanding why she is pulling away, you also gain insight into how she views the connection. Some women withdraw to test emotional strength, gauge patience, or see if you can remain steady without overreacting. Others may simply need breathing space, and your calm presence can make her feel more drawn toward you when she's ready. Reacting correctly means observing without panic, respecting her boundaries, and maintaining your own independent life while staying subtly available. In short, the first step is comprehension. Recognize that her distance is rarely random. It communicates her thoughts, emotions, or testing of your composure. By understanding the reason behind her behavior, you respond strategically, maintain value, and prevent actions that might push her further away. Correct interpretation sets the foundation for all other steps to reignite attraction and restore connection. 2. Don't chase her. When a woman distances herself or ignores you, the instinct for many men is to chase, to text repeatedly, call, or try to force engagement. This is the fastest way to kill attraction. Women are biologically and psychologically drawn to men who demonstrate independence, composure, and self-respect. Chasing her signals insecurity, neediness, and a lack of personal value, which immediately reduces attraction. If she's pulling away, your role is not to pursue aggressively. It's to hold your ground and allow her to feel the absence of your attention. Psychologically, pulling back creates space for evaluation. Women often withdraw to see how invested you are in yourself and whether you are emotionally stable. A man who chases signals that his identity and emotional stability are dependent on her attention. Conversely, a man who maintains his life, priorities, and confidence demonstrates that he is high value, self-sufficient, and not emotionally reactive. This is far more compelling than any amount of persistent messaging or pleading. Behavioral patterns make this clear. Notice how she reacts when you pull back slightly. Does she reach out on her own, respond with more interest, or attempt to re-engage? If so, her attraction is still present, and your independence created space for her desire to re-emerge. If you chase instead, her attention becomes a moving target, and she may pull even further away, sensing desperation or emotional instability. The dynamic of absence and presence is central. Your ability to resist over-engagement builds tension, curiosity, and attraction. Men often rationalize chasing by believing they are showing care or commitment. In reality, over-pursuit signals the opposite, that your sense of self is tied to her responsiveness. Stoic principles teach that your peace of mind, priorities, and emotional equilibrium should never be contingent on someone else's behavior. Maintaining composure and not chasing communicates strength and signals that you have a full, independent life that she can either be a part of or observe from the outside. By not chasing, you also give her room to reflect on her feelings, consider your value, and feel the pull of your presence without being forced. Women are more likely to reach out, re-engage, or invest when they perceive you as independent and self-respecting. Your calm absence acts as a subtle but powerful reminder of your worth. In short, when a woman distances herself, chasing her is counterproductive. Hold your ground, maintain independence, and continue living your life without desperation. Doing so increases attraction, preserves emotional stability, and gives her the opportunity to return willingly. High-value men understand that absence creates tension, curiosity, and respect, all of which reignite desire far more effectively than constant pursuit. 3. Focus on yourself. When a woman distances herself or begins ignoring you, one of the most powerful things you can do is shift your focus entirely onto yourself. This is not a distraction tactic. It's a strategy rooted in psychology, attraction, and Stoic principles. Men often make the mistake of obsessing over her behavior, analyzing every word, and trying to manipulate her attention. This approach creates emotional dependence, desperation, and reduces your value in her eyes. The truth is, your life, confidence, and priorities are far more attractive than your reactions to her withdrawal. Psychologically, Women are drawn to men who live independently, maintain self-respect, and cultivate a fulfilling life outside the relationship. When a man focuses on his own goals, hobbies, social life, and personal growth, it signals high value, self-sufficiency, and emotional stability. These qualities are inherently magnetic because they demonstrate that he does not rely on her for validation, attention, or identity. By contrast, men who overinvest emotionally, constantly check in, or attempt to regain attention often appear weak, needy, and less desirable. Behavioral patterns illustrate this principle. If she notices you investing time in your own pursuits, socializing with friends, improving your career, hitting the gym, or mastering hobbies, she subconsciously begins to reassess her interest. Absence combined with visible personal growth creates tension, curiosity, and attraction. You do not need to inform her of every action. Simply living your life fully is enough to reignite intrigue and respect. Conversely, if you focus solely on her or dwell on her distance, you reinforce low value and make it easier for her to pull further away. Men often believe that demonstrating effort or proving loyalty will win her back. This is a misconception. Attraction is rarely increased through visible pursuit or attempts to please. Instead, Stoicism teaches that maintaining composure, self-reliance, and focus on personal goals demonstrates strength. This mindset creates a subtle, powerful pull, as women are naturally drawn to men who are emotionally independent and engaged with life, rather than men consumed by their attention. By focusing on yourself, you also preserve your emotional energy and maintain confidence, two critical traits women notice. Your calm and self-directed life signals that your worth is inherent, not contingent on her engagement. This subtly shifts the dynamic, putting you in a position of value rather than need. In short, when a woman distances herself, the most effective response is to focus on yourself. Prioritize personal growth, maintain independence, and live a full life. Doing so increases attraction, preserves emotional balance, and naturally encourages her to reconsider her distance. Men who master this principle reclaim control, demonstrate high value, and create conditions where reconnection is more likely, without desperation or loss of dignity. 4. Give her space. When a woman distances herself or begins ignoring you, one of the most important things you can do is give her space. This is counterintuitive for many men, especially those who feel a need to fill silence with messages, calls, or attempts to fix the situation. But female psychology is clear. When a woman withdraws, pressuring her with attention often backfires. Space allows her to process her emotions, evaluate the connection, and feel the subtle pull of your absence, all without the weight of constant interaction. Psychologically, women naturally seek balance in emotional engagement. Pulling away can be a subconscious way to create breathing room, test boundaries, or gauge your confidence. When you crowd her with messages, questions, or attempts to regain attention, it signals neediness and dependency, which reduces attraction. Giving her space demonstrates emotional maturity, patience, and stoic composure, qualities that reinforce your value and create intrigue. Behavioral patterns make the need for space evident. Has she slowed communication, taken longer to respond, or avoided making plans? These are signals that she requires distance, not confrontation. Men who respect this dynamic by stepping back maintain dignity and preserve emotional stability. Conversely, men who react by chasing, begging, or attempting to dominate her attention often trigger resistance, frustration, or further withdrawal. Giving space doesn't mean ignoring her completely or acting indifferently. It means consciously resisting the urge to over-engage while remaining available on your terms. You continue living your life, focusing on your goals, social interactions, and personal growth, which naturally increases your value in her eyes. The combination of absence, independence, and calm composure creates tension and curiosity. Women often feel drawn to men who are self-reliant rather than emotionally reactive. Many men struggle with space because they equate it with losing control or losing her interest. In reality, the opposite is true. Space allows her to reflect on her feelings, recognize your value, and experience the natural pull of attraction that comes from absence. It shifts the dynamic from one of neediness to one of mutual respect and intrigue. In short, giving her space is a powerful tool when a woman distances herself. It allows her to process her emotions, reassess her interest, and feel the pull of your absence. By maintaining composure, independence, and personal priorities while stepping back, you reinforce your value, increase attraction, and create conditions for reconnection without desperation or loss of dignity. Space is not a passive move. It's a strategic and high-value action that demonstrates emotional intelligence and mastery of modern dating dynamics. 5. Avoid overanalyzing. When a woman distances herself or begins ignoring you, one of the most damaging habits a man can fall into is overanalyzing. It's easy to obsess over every text, every delayed reply, or every social media post, convincing yourself that you've lost control of the situation. But overanalysis signals insecurity, neediness, and emotional dependence, all traits that diminish attraction. Understanding female psychology and maintaining stoic composure requires stepping back and observing without letting your mind spiral into unnecessary conclusions. Psychologically, women pull away for many reasons, and most of them have little to do with your worth. She may need space to evaluate her feelings, deal with personal stress, or simply gain clarity about the connection. Men who overanalyze interpret distance as a personal failure, believing that they must fix things immediately or constantly strategize their next move. This creates a cycle of stress, desperation, and reactive behavior. By contrast, men who resist overthinking demonstrate confidence, self-control, and emotional independence, qualities that naturally increase attraction. Behavioral patterns reveal the dangers of overanalysis. You might find yourself rereading old messages, imagining scenarios that didn't happen, or crafting perfect responses to regain her attention. This mental obsession often translates into visible behaviors: excessive messaging, calling repeatedly, or making unnecessary apologies, all of which push her further away. Women notice when a man's emotional state is dependent on their behavior, and it reduces his perceived value immediately. Instead, adopt a stoic mindset. Accept her distance as a neutral event rather than a personal attack. Recognize that her actions are influenced by her own priorities and emotions, not a judgment of your worth. Focus your energy on yourself, your goals, your health, your social life, and let her distance exist without creating drama in your mind. This approach not only preserves your emotional stability, but also communicates strength, independence, and self-respect. Understanding that overanalysis is counterproductive allows you to respond strategically. Instead of obsessing over why she's distant, you focus on living your life fully. Her attention becomes a reflection of her choice rather than a measure of your value. This subtle shift changes the dynamic completely. You move from reactive to composed, from needy to self-reliant, and from desperate to high value. In short, when a woman distances herself, avoid overanalyzing her actions. Stop obsessing over every word or delayed reply, and resist the urge to overcompensate. Maintain emotional independence, focus on your life, and respond from a place of calm composure. Men who master this approach preserve attraction, strengthen their perceived value, and create a dynamic where her interest is naturally drawn back without desperation, pressure, or manipulation. 6. Remain calm and confident. When a woman distances herself or begins ignoring you, your reaction, or lack thereof, speaks louder than anything you could say. Remaining calm and confident is critical. Panic Overtexting, or appearing desperate only reinforces her distance. Confidence is magnetic. It signals that you are in control of your emotions, your life, and your priorities. Women are naturally drawn to men who can handle uncertainty without losing composure because it reflects emotional strength and independence, qualities they respect and find attractive. Psychologically, distance often triggers testing. She wants to see whether you remain steady when she pulls back. If you react emotionally, overcompensate, or beg for attention, it demonstrates that your sense of worth is dependent on her engagement. This instantly reduces attraction. On the other hand, if you stay calm, continue with your life, and exude confidence in every interaction, she subconsciously perceives stability, reliability, and high value. This creates a subtle pull, making her curiosity and desire for your attention increase. Behavioral patterns clearly show the difference. When a man responds to her distance with calm confidence, she often returns to engage with renewed interest. Conversely, men who react with anxiety or insecurity reinforce her decision to pull away. Confidence is not about arrogance or dismissiveness. It's about maintaining control over your emotions, knowing your worth, and demonstrating that your happiness is not contingent on her presence. Many men struggle to maintain confidence because they internalize her distance as a personal failure. Stoic principles teach that external events, including someone else's behavior, should not disturb your inner peace. Her pulling away is an external event, not a reflection of your value. By keeping calm, you reinforce that your life, identity, and emotional state are independent of her choices. This not only preserves your dignity, but also positions you as a high-value man who cannot be easily shaken. Remaining confident also changes the dynamic of interactions. When you eventually communicate with her, your calm presence and self-assured attitude create intrigue, tension, and attraction. Women are drawn to men who are steady and independent because they provide emotional stability, not volatility. This subtle shift can reverse her distance, reignite interest, and re-establish connection on terms that favor mutual respect and attraction. In short, when a woman distances herself, staying calm and confident is your most powerful tool. Avoid panic, overreaction, or excessive messaging. Focus on maintaining your composure, living your life fully, and demonstrating independence. Men who master this approach preserve attraction, protect emotional energy, and create conditions where she naturally wants to return without pressure, neediness, or loss of respect. Confidence is magnetic, and in this dynamic, it is your greatest asset. 7. Let her come back naturally. When a woman distances herself or ignores you, the final principle to master is letting her come back naturally. Many men make the critical mistake of trying to force engagement, convincing themselves that persistent effort or constant communication will win her back. In reality, this behavior almost always accelerates her withdrawal. Female psychology and modern dating dynamics are clear. Attraction grows when absence is paired with high value, independence, and composure. Allowing her to return on her own terms signals strength, self-respect, and emotional intelligence, qualities that naturally draw her closer. Psychologically, women often need space to evaluate their feelings and desires. When you chase, over-explain, or seek approval, you remove that space, making it harder for her to reflect on the connection. By stepping back and focusing on your life, you create tension and curiosity. She begins to notice your independence, composure, and confidence, the very traits that initially attracted her. Letting her come back naturally is not passive, it's strategic. You are demonstrating that your value is inherent, not contingent on her attention or responses. Behavioral patterns illustrate the power of this approach. After a period of space, women often reinitiate contact, test boundaries, or show renewed interest. If you respond from a place of calm, confidence, and subtle engagement, attraction deepens. Conversely, if you attempt to accelerate her return through messages, apologies, or emotional appeals, it signals neediness and lowers your perceived value. The more you allow her to approach without pressure, the more she invests emotionally, which strengthens her connection and attraction. Men often struggle with this because they misinterpret distance as rejection. Stoic philosophy emphasizes that external events are beyond your control. What matters is your response. Her absence is neutral. It is not an indictment of your worth. By letting her come back naturally, you maintain control over your emotions and energy while giving her the opportunity to return without manipulation or force. This approach preserves dignity, reinforces your independence, and cultivates an environment where attraction can flourish organically. Letting her return naturally also empowers you to remain selective. If she re-engages, you can assess her intentions and prioritize mutual respect and alignment. If she does not, you are unaffected, having maintained your self-respect and composure. This reinforces the fundamental principle of high-value men. Your emotional stability and confidence are non-negotiable, regardless of anyone else's behavior. In short, when a woman distances herself, the most powerful action is to let her come back on her own. Resist the urge to chase, manipulate, or over-communicate. Maintain your independence, live fully, and demonstrate calm confidence. This strategy not only preserves attraction, but also strengthens your emotional intelligence, self-respect, and position as a high-value man. Women naturally respond to this balance, often returning with renewed interest and respect, precisely because you did not compromise your composure or value. Men, when a woman distances herself or begins ignoring you, how you respond defines your value, attraction, and control in the relationship. Panicking, over-texting, or chasing her attention only signals neediness and insecurity, which pushes her further away. Female psychology and modern dating dynamics are clear. Women are drawn to men who remain composed, independent, and confident, even when they withdraw. Your ability to handle distance with calmness, stoic composure, and self-respect determines whether attraction grows or diminishes. The 7 key principles are simple but transformative. Understand why she's pulling away. Don't chase her. Focus on yourself. Give her space. Avoid overanalyzing. Remain calm and confident, and let her come back naturally. Each principle reinforces independence, emotional stability, and high value, qualities that women instinctively respect and are drawn to. Men who fail to apply these principles often react emotionally, diminishing their attractiveness and creating tension. Men who master them maintain control, build intrigue, and increase the likelihood that she will return with genuine interest. Reacting correctly is not about manipulation. It's about presence, composure, and strategic patience. By focusing on your life, maintaining confidence, and respecting her space, you demonstrate high value without desperation. Women notice when a man's life is full, his priorities are intact, and his emotions are independent of their attention. This balance creates a natural pull, strengthens respect, and preserves the emotional tension that fosters attraction. In short, when a woman distances herself, your response matters more than her behavior. Holding composure, prioritizing personal growth, and letting her return naturally positions you as a high-value man who cannot be shaken or diminished by temporary withdrawal. Master these principles, and you not only increase attraction, but also cultivate emotional strength, self-respect, and a magnetic presence in the modern dating world.